The Babylon Project was our last best hope for peace. It failed. But in the year of the Shadow War, it became something greater. Our last best hope for victory. The year is 2260. The place, Babylon 5.
Hello and welcome to Chats, a television podcast, Season 6, Chatzylon 5. My name is Alan, and to me, everything's a surprise. You're a surprise. This place is a surprise. You see this? Paper cut. Hurts like hell. Anybody else would be upset, but to me, it's one more wonderful surprise. I even surprise myself sometimes, and I guess there's nothing wrong with me surprising you. Right, Magellan?
Heck yeah, baby.
Heck yeah, what a surprise.
I surprised you and you liked it.
You like?
You
me
liked
likey,
it.
me
Me
likey,
likey.
likey.
Today, I was texting my roommate. And
Oh, the co-host of the What the Fox podcast,
yeah,
Charlie D.
Charlie Dick. Oh, yeah, Charlie D. We saying last names. Who
Charlie
cares?
Tektar.
He's trying to get famous, probably. And he was just saying something about like how the train schedule was nice because it skipped a certain stop, but stopped at the stop he wanted. And I just made the choice to respond to, "Ooh, baby, daddy likey." And I don't know if I regret it. I don't think I do.
You sound like somebody in a true crime documentary.
Oh, God, no.
I don't know if I regret it.
Oh, no.
The police haven't found any conclusive evidence. You're fine. Don't worry about it. It's been a pretty long week for me, brother. It's been like one of those.
Tell me about it, brother. You're my brother.
It's been one
We're
of those.
related.
It's been. I'm gonna strangle myself.
All right, just so you know, folks, it's 12:11 a.m.
The night before this is supposed to go up.
Yeah.
Oops.
We kind of been all over. Yeah, it's been all over the place this week. So
You're stuck in a loop.
did I say it's been twice?
No, it sounded like you were going to though.
Yeah.
It's been.
Everybody, I just finished my resume. It's looking nice.
It's been looking nice.
Here, as the podcast goes on, I'm gonna export it and send it to Alan, and he'll give you his take. But what's up? What's been up with your week there, bud?
It's just been long. Between work and job applying and finishing my improv class and a lot of stuff going on personally. I just have felt very tired, and I'm ready for spring to come. I think this is a time for some rebirth and some re-examining of our priorities.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I mean, the daylight savings thing has been nice.
Yeah.
Walking out of work with the sun up is like, baby, daddy likey.
No.
That's my
Just gonna-
catchphrase, bro.
You're just going to reclaim that like straight people started saying, like, I want to say things are gay, but I want it to be nice. I don't want it to be bad anymore. Like, I'm just going to be like, that flower over there, that's gay. And it's like, shut up. You don't get to do that.
Yeah, you're right.
I love it.
I relinquish daddy.
No,
like.
baby daddy liked baby. Baby like daddy? What is it?
Baby like daddy. Yuck.
Yucko. Toss it in the garbage.
Yuck. Throwing it away.
Baby joke never worn for sale.
No, this is great. The 6-word story is "Ooh, baby, daddy likey, never worn."
This is in theory a Babylon 5. Well, it's a television podcast where we watch TV.
Look at my resume.
Oh, do you want me to actually look at your resume on the show?
Yeah, you don't have to say what's on it, but just
Okay.
give me your. Do you think I should cut anything or? It
Okay.
feels a little
Whoa,
busy right now.
good font work. Yeah, you're gonna get a live audio of me looking at Majan's resume. It's a little text heavy, but I think that's fine because you've done a lot.
That's what my concern is that it's very texty.
But you can't really cut a lot of this.
Maybe I'll send it to a coworker and they can help me.
Like if I'm a job app, what's the word? Job interviewer?
A job boss?
A job boss.
Yeah.
Then I'm looking at this and I'm like, ugh, who has the time to read this? Come on.
Right.
Like, give it to me in 5 minutes. But I still think it's good. Like, you have all the hits here.
Yeah, so maybe I'll just get someone who knows the biz to help me cut it down.
Right. Or to know what the people who you're applying for want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had to make several resumes based on like what type of job I'm applying to. For this show, I'm applying to talk about Babylon 5. 2 episodes a week with my friend Magellan. The first episode we watched this week was Season 3, Episode 5, Voices of Authority. We also watched Season 3, Episode 6, Dust to Dust, which we'll be discussing after the break. First up, Voices of Authority, written by J. M. Straczynski, directed by Menachem Benetsky. It aired January 29th, 1996, and it takes place between February 5th and the 7th of February of 2260. Magellan, what happened in Voices of Authority?
In this episode, Drawl... Oh my god, I forgot Drawl was in it. Drawl reveals himself to... Okay. In this episode, Drawl reveals himself to Sheridan and offers his services. Ew. Daddy.
Nike. Yep, there it is.
I'm sorry.
Rule of threes. Rule of threes.
Yep. Drawl reveals himself to Sheridan and offers his services. Babylon 5 is assigned a political officer. Jakar questions Delenn about the War Council and the Rangers. Alan, what did you think of Voices of Authority?
I think this is one of those one of these summaries where they actually like break down the 3 main plots really well.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have Drawl talking about the other first one and how they can ally with them. He takes Ivanova into the Great Machine, and that's like kind of cool in a way that'll probably pay off way later.
Yeah.
Babylon 5 being assigned a political officer in the short term doesn't mean anything big, but it's my favorite plot of the episode.
Yeah, same.
Is all the stuff with Julie Masenti. And then Jakar questions Delenn about the War Council is another one that's like, oh, cool. I'm glad our characters care about the plot.
Mm-hmm.
And they're invested in what's going on. They're as invested as we are. That's like perfect screenwriting technique. Make your characters care as much as the viewer does. So overall, pretty strong episode. What did you enjoy it like that? Baby, daddy, like
I enjoy it like that.
And I was like, there has to be a way to end the sentence other than "Did you enjoy it?" There has to be.
Yeah, I mean, I thought both of these episodes were really strong. I
could lift a whole planet.
Yeah, could lift a whole
chocolate bar.
You know, I mean, Atlas Shrugged. That's not a joke. That's just the title.
Fuck! I'm cutting the whole episode. Go ahead.
Oh man. Both the episodes are really strong. I think this episode starts kind of slow, but then when it hits the main parts of it, like Ivanova going on her mind quest, Sheridan trying to navigate this lady who's playing with his brain, both of those plots get to a point where they're really kind of edge of your seat engaging in totally different ways, because one of them is the grand cosmic world building of Babylon 5, and the other is like, is our good boy going to be bad?
Is he bad? Show me your feet.
So yeah, I mean, let's start with the least consequential stuff first, I guess. Jakar starts the episode like, hey, Delenn, I could help you. I could be cool. He tries to talk to Garibaldi. He's like, Garibaldi, I could help. Here's the Book of Jaquan. Or is that the next one?
He gives it. It's interesting. He gives it to him in this one, and then he is asked to take it back in the second one.
Yeah. So Jakar's not really doing a whole lot in this episode, unless I'm forgetting something.
No, it is. It's mostly just important because it's like, oh, he clearly knows some things, and he knows that Army of Light things are going on, and it's kind of fun to watch people get around talking about that.
Yeah. And what I took away from it is that the Rangers are not as good at hiding their shit as they say they are.
No, they're just kind of awkward dorks with like space lasers and a really cool ship a couple miles out. Because
So
he's like,
I thought that was cool that it's like, oh, the Rangers are kind of out of their depth, actually.
right. From a sci-fi perspective, you tell me there's a secret like peacekeeping group, and you're like, oh, that's amazing. They must be badasses. And it's like, no, they're just dudes. They're just people.
Right, because what's weird about it is like, yeah, and they're led by the dude that you saw being sort of goofy for a whole season.
Yeah, and it's that's the guy. It's the same Sinclair. I miss Sinclair so much.
Yeah,
But you know, Jakar always giving a good performance. He's kind of like leveled up his outfit game. He's got more like shoulder pads and capes going on now, which I adore.
yeah, me too.
And yeah, he at the end he wakes Garibaldi up in the middle of the night. This is like the last scene of the episode. I know we're jumping weird, but he wakes him up at like 3 a.m, and he's like, Garibaldi, I brought you a book. And he's like, what? It's the Book of Jaquan. It's my most sacred book. You should read it. And he's like, I can't read Narn. And he's like, learn, bye. Closes the door, and then you just get Garibaldi in his underwear being like, the things I do for love, as he irises in on his fucking bald forehead.
I still don't really understand Garibaldi and Jakar's relationship.
Yeah,
I feel like it kind of changes episode to episode.
I think they want us to just think that Garibaldi sees Jakar as like the kind of like wacky spiritual alien.
Mm-hmm.
But because he doesn't have a friend, he doesn't have like a Londo foreigner friend anymore. That just isn't a relationship that Garibaldi
the arc is so much clearer with Garibaldi and Londo of like they were drinking buddies, basically. Even though Garibaldi doesn't drink alcohol. And now Garibaldi doesn't trust him anymore because he's a scary, evil dude. But with Jakar, it's like Garibaldi was adversarial with him, but then cared about him and didn't want to see him get killed in the last set of episodes we watched. And now Garibaldi's kind of aloof around him and doesn't want to talk to him. I don't know. It doesn't feel consistent.
Yeah, it's never gonna reach the heights of like season 1 Garibaldi and Londo, but it's something. And I think Garibaldi, as we see in the second episode, is gonna have some more time to like actually look at this book and have an interest in it. So maybe that'll give his character something to do.
Yeah.
Possible.
We'll see.
We also have the Drawl stuff, and the Great Machine. Speaking of like big lore things, Drawl invites so it's funny, he invites Sheridan to come visit him, and then Sheridan can't make it because this Julie Masanti lady is on the ship. So he says, Ivanova, you go instead. Marcus Cole will take you there. We get some flirting kind of between Marcus and Ivanova, which is not awesome. I really worry that they're going to put these two together. I don't want this pairing to happen.
No, that's not going to happen.
And if it does, it's going to go badly. That's, my thing. Because he's like,
I don't see it happening.
He's like bantering with her and making gags in the ship about about how his skills as a pilot and whether or not he should be there and all this stuff. And it's like, stop.
Yeah, like he's a douchebag. I mean, that's the whole point of his character.
He's just a foofy British asshole.
I'm the honeymoon period is over between me and Marcus Cole.
Wow, that was fast.
I know. I'm done with him. I mean, I'm willing to see him be interesting, but these episodes, I was like, I don't need him to be here, actually.
Yeah, he's one extra rung.
If he's just gonna mock Ivanova, sorry, bro.
Yeah, and if they're gonna have like this bad tension, then I'm outie. The two of them come, and then Drawl get to the planet, and Drawl is like, I said I want Sheridan, and it seems like it's gonna be a problem. And Ivanova's like,
let me just add a rule to the Babylon 5 drinking game: drink every time Drawl seems like he's mad. And then laughs really hard.
And then he's like, ha, 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 I don't care about anything in this plot. He's like an ascended figure. He doesn't have to give a shit about anything. Yeah. But he's like, you have moxie, kid. I like you. you're an asshole. And she's like, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. It's kind of good. And he's like, do you want to climb into my big like Hot Wheels machine? And she's like, I do. I really want to do that.
I'm here.
She hops all up in there, and she starts having visions. I guess it's implied that she, because of her latent psychic ability, has like stronger visions than the average human. Because she's like going very vivid.
That's interesting. I hadn't picked that up because
Yeah,
he says at the end like a normal mind would have been destroyed or whatever.
Exactly. So
that didn't click for me.
that just thank you. It made me think though, what would happen if like Lita went in there, because not only is she like a strong telepath, but she's also like has a connection to Vorlons and has clearly more going on in her head than just even her psychic powers. Whereas Ivanova, just a like slightly trained, not even trained, latent telepath, can see things.
What I don't understand is why. So Ivanova gets into Dral's machine.
Yep.
To look for other first ones that they can contact and ask for help in the war against the shadows.
Correct.
What I don't understand is why does she have to be the one who's doing that? Or Sheridan, if he had chosen to go. Why can't Dral do that?
Because so why can't they just be like, hey Dral, can you find us some people?
Right.
That are allies to us? I'm not sure. Maybe it
Like,
has to do with like he's our I don't know. Go ahead.
Plot wise, of course it makes sense that we'd want a main character in the seat so that we could see it from their point of view. And we also want it's a convenient. I was kind of like, okay, at how convenient it was that this was also the way that they found out what happened to the president. So I get why it needs to be a main character there, in terms of like the writing of it being compelling, but logically there isn't really a good reason why it has to be one of the Babylon 5 crew who's just searching with Dral's Cerebro, you know?
The Great Machine.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, based on the characterization of Dral in this episode, the gag is it's fun for him to see other people get in the machine. Because he says, like, guys, come to my planet. It'll be fun. Which is a word you never hear on Babylon 5, one of the saddest shows of all time.
Right.
Is anybody being like, come on, it'll be fun. He wants to see how humans will react to the machine and like what they can learn from it. Because he's so ingrained in it, like kind of literally, that he's just like, yeah, I could do it. But what if you tried to do it? What would you find?
Okay, so he's just curious, you're saying?
I think so. That's my read.
Sure,
people can
I'll
obviously
take it.
send in corrections if they
it.
understand it. But yeah. I mean, she gets in there. She sees a lot of stuff. Apparently she's like not just, what I understood is she's not just like seeing things, but she's being projected because the shadows see her. And we get this really like
the Dral projects his form.
Right. They see the essence of him. She sees a shadow like thing and then gets afraid of it. And he's like, no, you need to get out. It's all this like tension of like, if you stay in, you're going to die, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. We know she's not. And then she gets like a surveillance recording.
Sees the past or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She sees like footage basically of
the logic of this doesn't make a lot of sense, but we just needed to have this information happen somehow.
Yeah, so. a lot of convenience happens here because she watches this footage of current President Clark speaking to someone who I figured out later is, I mean, it's Morden, right?
It's Morden, yeah. From his voice, you can tell.
I thought from the voice for a second that it was Bester, and I was like, I'm confused. But yeah, it's definitely Morden because he's talking to shadows. Yeah. And we learned that he basically did what Londo did and said, I've always wanted to get Santiago dead. And you guys can do that for me.
The shadow question.
Yeah, what do you want? I've always wanted Santiago dead. And are you sure you did it? And then Morden assures him that he says Earth Force One will never return. And then she sees it happen again, and she has that moment where she's like, I can see Earth Force One. I can warn them. And then Dral's like, yeah, you're projecting, but you're not like in the past.
Yeah.
You can't like redo the past. So she sees it blows up and has that proof in her head. And then this is speaking of convenience. She's like, Gerald, did you record that? And he's like, yeah, I have all the tapes in my back room.
Well, it's not even like, did you record that? She's like, could you record what I just saw?
Can I get a log of that?
He's like, oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I was just in my living form and not hooked up to the machine, so I have no idea what you saw. But yeah, I got you. I can do it.
Yeah, it kind of works in the, like, I don't need to nitpick it because it works in this moment that, like, he's clearly guiding her through this and, like, is talking to her and stuff like that. So he's probably seeing something like what she's seeing, but the logic of it doesn't make a crap ton of sense. But basically, it just means we have this footage. I don't know they put it on a data disk, I guess. And by the end of the episode, it's leaked to the news. And holy crap, you guys. Everybody on Earth knows of that Clark ordered the assassination of Santiago. Mm-hmm. Oh my God! And
it's huge. It's a huge moment. I gasped. I was floored.
Right, and it's given the weight it deserves because of how it intersects with the Masanti plot. I kept writing her name as Julie in my notes. I guess Masanti, like, they refer to her as her last name more. But Julie Masanti is a member from the people who run Night Watch, like the Ministry of Peace.
Yeah.
Who is assigned to Babylon 5 to be their political officer, which it's funny that the wiki summary says Babylon 5 is assigned a political officer because she's like, no one is okay with her being there.
Yeah.
No one is thinking like, oh crap, that's awesome. We have a new cast member. Like, this is so cool, so great. Mm-hmm. We can't have 3 women on the show. That's impossible. Julie Masanti is just like the grossest, like, Silicon Valley, like, no empathy, white lady, fancy hair, knows how to use her body, like, bleh, just disgusting person. And I adore her.
Yeah, she's a wonderful villain.
She's and like, it's sort of like whenever they have news crews on and everyone has to act differently, like, it grounds everybody's, like, political leanings when they have a person who is so firmly in a position that they have to tell people, like, hey, what do you think about, for example, President Clark? What do you think about the homeless? Which is probably my favorite scene of the episode.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cheesy, but
it's cheesy in the way that her whole performance is cheesy, where it's like, this is so much, lady. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
She's having dinner with Sheridan. They're eating, like, sushi. And she's like, what kind of issues do you have going on in Babylon 5? And he's like, oh, we have problems with people we have lurker problems. She's like, what are lurkers? And he's like, oh, they're just like Earth's homeless. Like, we have problems with them. We try to deal with them and help them, but, like, ultimately it's a lot of stress. And she's like, oh, we don't have homeless anymore. And he's like, what? And she's like, we got rid of that. I wrote the line here. We don't have homeless on Earth. We have some displaced people, but they've chosen to be in that position. Mm-hmm. They're either lazy, they're criminal, or they've chosen it. And it's like, oh. Oh, I understand the type of person that you're making fun of, JMS and company. Like,
right, exactly.
We don't have to admit that we have a problem as long as we say, like, I don't know, we got rid of it. We gave them jobs. They just didn't take them. All right, I guess that's their fault. Like, just clean my hands of that.
Right. And I think what's powerful about her as a character is that there are moments where you can tell that Sheridan is, like, intrigued and listening.
Right. It's when she says we don't have homeless anymore, he's like, wait, that's awesome. Like, what?
Well, but more so, I think she appeals to, like, that there are bad people in the government who are, like, telling lies and they're trying to destroy Earth. And I'm just trying to protect Earth. And, like,
that's all I want.
Honorable guy. And he's like, oh, I am an honorable guy. And I'm handsome, too.
When she leaves after the first meeting, Ivanova's like, anything else you need, Captain? He's like, a glass of whiskey, a gun, and 2 bullets.
It's a good line.
Very corny. Very, very, very corny. It's immediately clear that she's like, you're gonna like me, dude. Like, you and me, we're gonna be on the show together. I'm gonna be a side character. We're gonna have a fun romance. We're gonna have sex. and then we're gonna be partners, and it's gonna be on. Like she like writes a fake version of Babylon 5 where she joins the crew and is flirting with him and clearly making a play for him, and then just to abandon all sense of pretense, they go back to his quarters. He's like, "Would you like a drink?" He turns around and she's naked. She just in 1 second strips naked. And then this just the like so cartoonish. He like eyes bulges out. Ivanova beams in via draws like technology to tell him something.
So silly.
Ivanova gets her own personal boner and is like, "Whoa," and then closes it like, "I'm not supposed to be here. Oopsie." And then she can't just be chill because Ivanova has no chill. When they finish talking, she's like, "Oh, are you seem busy, Captain?" Because he like makes out with Julie to like tell Ivanova basically like, "Get out of here." And then she tells him what's going on, and then she's like, "All right, man, have fun having sex. Bye." And he just like closes the phone basically. She just knows what he's doing. I thought, do you think that there is still room for that kind of comedy, that broad, weird comedy in this more serious season of the show? Or does it feel out of place?
Yes, please, I need it. I need these breaths of fresh air.
It reminds us that these are people, like especially Ivanova's reaction afterwards, being like, "Ah, it's sex." It's just, funny, relatable, etc. In a quagmire of misery. That is season 3 so far.
Oh my god.
A quagmire.
An important part of this political officer plot is, of course, the role played by your favorite character, Zach Allen.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the failure of Zach Allen after that. Yeah, he tries to seduce Julie.
You love Zach Allen, and you love him in this episode.
Bro?
You were telling me that you love that his whole character is that he's sort of like an impotent Pepe Le Pew.
It is now. The scene with him late at the end of the episode is one of the best scenes of the show. Period.
Okay, which one?
Where him and Garibaldi talk about how they don't trust each other anymore.
Oh, that is a good one.
Fucking incredible.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, here he's just like, "Hey, Julie, like, do you want to have sex?" And she's like, "No, Zach, go back to work, you fucking dumb idiot asshole.
You disgust me.
I will fucking spit on you." And he's like, "Nice, awesome, bye."
Yeah.
I noticed I
love the gag where at the beginning of the episode, he's like, "Yeah, Garibaldi, like this suit doesn't fit me. I feel like I'm in a circus tent." And then she's like, shitting on him, and then offhandedly she's like, "By the way, your jacket doesn't fit."
He's like, "Oh, Garibaldi, what's going on? I hate it."
No, she saw my bad fitting jacket. Jeez Louise.
She's never gonna have sex with me.
Anyway, I saw people talking in a secret code. Maybe it's a big deal. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I can really see it in the actor performing it. That's so funny that you nailed the voice.
He's doing a really cheesy accent.
Yeah, that's exactly
Maybe
why.
That's him, but it doesn't feel like him.
Yeah, we don't know because he's always playing up in all of his scenes. He's always playing like ridiculous. They keep using the same music cue for every time Julie says something sketchy. This like spooky sci-fi like doo dee doo 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 doo. It's the part where she's telling the Night Watch like, "All of you guys need to be even shittier cops. Like you need to tell me sedition is no longer allowed on Babylon 5."
Yeah,
and they're
really
playing this shitty music.
I mean, obviously we would watch that and be creeped out, but the music does push you in that direction.
It does all the work there, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, at the end, basically she's like, "Okay, nobody wants me here. I'm going to leave. Also, the Clark news happened and I need to go do damage control on Earth." She tells Zach Allen and the rest of Night Watch, like, "Hey, keep feeding me information. We'll be in touch." She specifically singles out Zach, though. And he then realizes that the code that Garibaldi told him when he was asking about what are all these like meetings about, like referring to the Army of Light meetings, is fake. And he's like, "What's with this fake code? Why are you giving me fake codes? I thought you trusted me." And it's this like realization that the like basic thing that keeps them that partners them together is this brotherhood and this like sense of trust is non-existent. And you just like watch their relationship crumble really quickly at the end there. And Garibaldi's like, you kind of establishes himself like, "Yeah, we're friends, or we were, but I'm still your boss and I can still like space you if I need to, because my job matters more than you fucking narc." you extreme narc man. I'm not telling you anything. And it's like good for Garibaldi for sticking up for his guns, but it's still a bummer scene. Like, you know, we haven't like watched them be best friends, but it's like, oh, you know, that's where the Julie stuff does totally like come and go. You know, it lasts as long as it needs to, and then it's out. I think it's really efficient about reminding us like what's Earth's problem with Sheridan and company, because she even tells the Night Watch meeting people like the reason we're being, because they're like, isn't this kind of crazy? Isn't this fascist? And she's like, yeah, the world sucks out. She does that classic politician thing of like, yeah, the reason we're shitty is the rest of the world is shittier. We have to be bad cops because they're bad criminals. It's their fault. People like, I don't know, Sheridan, for example, she doesn't say that, but she clearly knows that something's up with Sheridan. She's trying to get him to say it.
It's really scary. I mean, scary in a real world way.
Right. I think all the best stuff in season 3 has been like the show acknowledging that, like, yeah, we're not doing just like hard sci-fi anymore.
So much scary. I mean, you know, the shadows, whatever, they're kind of creepy looking.
Yeah.
The scariest evil force to me right now is the Night Watch.
The Night Watch, exactly.
And the Ministry of Peace.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Earth
even
government.
the people with the psychic powers, or
right,
the ancient race of evil aliens.
The ancient tiki mouth aliens. Do you want to talk about Zog really briefly?
Let's talk about Zog. Huh?
Let's talk about Zog, baby.
So Ivanova goes to see probably the only good piece of CG in the whole show.
Okay.
You didn't like their ship, bro?
No, the White Star? Yeah, I thought you meant
No,
the Tiki Head. I thought you meant Zog.
No, not the Tiki Head. The Tiki Head's ship.
Oh, I didn't really pay attention to it having a ship.
With the like dome that had the little light show going on around the orb.
Oh, I did not see this. What?
What are you talking about?
I'm scrolling.
See this. You better scroll.
Oh, yeah. It was like very abstract. Yeah, I remember with all the like the rainbow
Cool
patterns
as
in front of it.
hell.
Yeah, this
Don't
was
tell
cool.
me you didn't see that.
Yeah. Sorry, it's been a couple days since I watched this episode.
So Ivanova finds this group of first ones, and she's with
Marcus Cole.
What's his face? Marcus Cole. I've already decided.
Fuckface Jackson. Yeah, I got you.
Name. Orlando Bloom. I'll just start calling him if I don't remember his name.
He really would be Orlando Bloom, though. You're right.
Yeah, she's with Orlando Bloom, and he's just providing, by the way, no useful dialogue whatsoever. She talks to the big tiki head from Crash Bandicoot, but you're right, the evil one, Uka Uka instead of Aku Aku.
Thank you for outing me as a Crash Bandicoot nerd.
We both know the same Crash Bandicoot facts.
We're both the Crash Bandicoot nerd.tumblr.com.
Yeah, so it's chill. And she's like, "Hey, can you help us with the first ones? Or sorry, can you help us with the war against the shadows? We know that you fought them before, and like we've got a whole squad. We've got humans. We've got Minbari. We've got the Vorlons." And he's like, "Oh,
the Vorlons."
But
I hate
Marcus
them.
Cole's is like, "Yeah, maybe the Vorlons owe them money or something." But I thought that was a really revealing moment, because we've already started to develop this uneasy trust with the Vorlons.
Right.
Of like, they seem kind of manipulative. They seem self-interested. There's got to be a catch to the Vorlons.
Yeah, a whole race of people hate them. They know them and hate them. What is that?
And also it's kind of bleak of like, these beings are on another plane of existence and power, but they're still like petty as hell.
Oh, yes.
You can't escape that no matter how advanced and powerful you are.
Respect.
So it seems like they're not going to help. And then Ivanova's like, well, all right. Well, the Vorlons actually are really handsome. And like they're totally going to do everything themselves. And then these guys are like, all right, come back, say our name, and we'll be here.
Yeah, before, and then she's like, what's the name? And they're like, bye. And they don't say anything. I think I mean, whatever. The tiki head that speaks to them, Zog, is like kind of silly.
Yeah, it's dumb looking.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that, like, yeah, they're just talking to first ones now. Literally, like, half a season ago, we were like, what, first ones? What are those? And now they're like, oh, what's up, other first one? How you doing? Do you want to join us in this fight? Like, oh, you're really petty and, like, childish, but that's okay. And, like, you know, it zooms out the scope in a really major way that I like about the sci-fi-ness of the show.
Mm-hmm.
They know when it's time to pull back. But we don't really know where that's going right now. So it kind of like is cool. And then it's like, yeah, eventually when we finally do that whole war, we'll have Zog and company, and that'll be exciting. And why do they hate the Vorlons? Maybe we'll find out.
I'm curious.
Yeah, me too. So Julie leaves. Jakar gives Garibaldi a book. And
Book of Jaquan.
The Book of Jaquan. Book. And that's where we're at. With this first episode. A very good one.
Now I got a question for you. Who were the voices of authority?
Right? Really makes you think, don't it?
That's me in a college seminar where I didn't read the book.
Who does everybody else think? It's just like pulling the room. Who do you guys think represented the real voices of authority?
Like literally people have had an in-depth conversation for the last hour. And I'm like,
But like the voices. And what is the dictionary definition of authority?
Yeah.
Just desperate. That's me in any English class in high school. I'm just like, so T.J. Eckleberg has glasses.
That's really your one symbol, huh?
It is, dude. The hatchet represents masculinity in Bryan Singer's.
Hatchet.
Remember Hatchet from elementary school?
No.
Like a kid is like on a plane. He's like 13, and then he crashes. Everyone has read Hatchet, and then it crashes, and he has to survive in the wilderness with just a hatchet.
I have not read Hatchet.
We'll get you Hatchet. We'll get you into Hatchet at some point. Hatchet book. When was this? A Cry in the Wild. Oh no, that's the movie based on Hatchet. That's coming out. 1987 Newbery Honor winning young adult witness survival written by Gary Paulson. If I show you the cover, you'll probably recognize it. It's a very iconic.
I haven't read it.
You haven't read it? Okay, well, fair enough.
I mean, okay, show me the cover. Let's see.
Yeah, it was like a book.
A book.
A book.
I read Island of the Blue Dolphins. That one I know.
I remember that one. Yeah, Island of the Blue Dolphins. We can't just step on the Shrieking Shack's territory and start talking about all the young adult books. Number of the Stars.
Whatever we want. I read Number of the Stars. No, I definitely didn't read this Hatchet book.
Okay. Maniac McGee. I read a decent amount of these books. Wow, look at that. Anyways, let's read our email for this week, Magellan.
All right, this email from our buddy Dan addresses the episodes that we watched last week, A Day in the Strife, and Passing Through Gethsemane. Dan says, I think that A Day in the Strife is a pretty solid example of what a lot of the future standalone episodes will start to look like, in that it has a hot garbage A plot and a really good not so standalone B plot. Cough, Gray 17 is missing. Cough. I don't get that.
It's later this season.
Okay. Cool. You guys didn't mention it, but Talon was the Narn whom Sheridan saved when they were held captive. Oh.
Yeah.
On the alien ship in the episode All Alone in the Night. Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember why Sheridan was like friendly with him. I thought maybe it was just some weird backstory that was being implied that we didn't know.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah. It's continuity.
I'll take it. He's played by Marshall Teague, and you haven't seen the last of him. My only problem with this character is that his sword looks like it was purchased in the weapons section of the nearest Walmart on the cheap, and then someone painted some Narn letters on the handle. A buddy of mine bought a very similar sword when we were in our teens. He gave it one hard swing through the air, and the blade broke, even though it didn't hit anything. Oh, no.
Hell yeah.
I remember our friend Jim's brother had swords.
He was a swords guy. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember being... was this you? Somebody, maybe it wasn't you, but somebody took one of his swords and it was like, put it back in the wrong sheath and it was too long for the sheath.
What?
And stabbed through the sheath.
I was
Must
not
have
there.
been you. Maybe it was somebody else.
Wild. I had a cardboard tube that I used as a fake sword for like a whole year
Oh,
in college, though.
Uh,
It was cool. I swear it was cool.
I remember being instantly bothered by the alien probe because I recognized immediately that the premise didn't make sense of, quote, either we're benevolent aliens who want to help out or we're a particular brand of evil who want to wipe out inferior species. Logically, I couldn't square that circle, and I recognized within the first conversation what was actually going on. If anything, it annoyed me that it took so long for any of the characters in the show to realize it. It is correct that the death of personality is not performed by telepaths. Okay, cool. Thanks for that clarification, Dan. It's never explained how exactly the process is performed, but what is known is that the court appoints a telepath to scan the person before and after the mind wipe to confirm that it worked. Okay, That's where I was confused. Right. My one gripe with passing through Gethsemane has always been the convenient timing of when the evidence came to light that someone was messing with Edward. The ruse started to fall apart early enough that the B5 crew realized something hinky was going on, but not soon enough for them to do anything about it. Like the message written in blood. Should it have really taken as long as it did for them to detect that chemical there, or that someone messed with their own audio system? I think that a big nudge in the pop culture push for a more human Jesus was the 1988 movie adaptation of the 1955 Nikos Kazantzakis book, The Last Temptation of Christ. It presented a very human Jesus. People got worked up by the fact that he felt lust. There was a general moral panic about it, but there was something relatable on a human level. I just remember being struck by the images of Jesus the carpenter doing a job that a lot of carpenters were likely doing at the time, making crosses for the Romans. As a child, I remember an older relative saying that Martin Scorsese belonged in a gulag somewhere alongside Salman Rushdie for the crime of blasphemy.
Woofa!
Holy shit. It was a rare time when Christians and Muslims could join together in the generalized outrage of how dare someone explore our beliefs in a way that makes us feel uncomfortable. That's from Dan.
I was going to say, for me, the pop culture touchstone for Jesus being humanized was always Jesus Christ Superstar, but I always known about The Last Temptation of Christ because of the film, and I didn't know it was based on a book, actually. But let me just take a second to shout out the cast of The Last Temptation of Christ movie. Willem Dafoe as Jesus, period, exclamation point. Harvey Keitel as Judas Iscariot. Barbara Hershey as Mary Magdalene. Harry Dean Stanton as Saul. David Bowie as Pontius Pilate.
What the fuck?
And just, what is this movie? And then Martin Scorsese uncredited as Isaiah himself.
Wow.
Wow. So, cool stuff. Thank you, Dan.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Dan.
I'm always enjoying the extra info that we get from listeners who can explain things to us without spoiling it.
Oh yeah.
Let's take a brief musical break, and we'll be right back to discuss Dust to Dust.
Welcome back to Chatzylon 5. The second episode we watched this week was Season 3, Episode 6, Dust to Dust. It was written by J. Michael S., directed by David J. E. Gull. It aired February 5th, 1996, and it takes place from February 28th to March 4th of 2260. Alan, what happened in Dust to Dust?
Dust.
Hunter's name, the Pokemon Hunter's name in Japanese is Ghost. Hello, my name is Ghost. Listen to the Johto Quorum now on Scanline Media. Wow.
Alan, what happened in Dust to Dust?
Alan, what happened to me throwing it over to you for the summary? Alan, whatever happened to predictability? The Milkman, the Paperboy, even MTV. You miss your old familiar friends, just waiting just around the bend. In this episode, the conspiracy of light is jeopardized when Alfred Bester comes to Babylon number 5 to find a dealer of the telepathy-inducing drug Dust, one who has made Jakar's acquaintance. Spooky. This, on the other hand, as opposed to the other one, which seemed important but kind of wasn't, doesn't seem important but kind of is.
Right.
Because we get Bester, who I didn't expect to see. I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa, holy shit, Bester's back.
Yeah.
And it made me challenge what I think of Bester on this show, because I have like...
You really think that he matters, and I kind of don't.
Yeah, totally. I keep thinking like he's this huge villain on the show and he's really significant. And then he comes back and he's just this like kind of affable, shitty old man.
Yeah. Odd episode for Bester and his characterization.
Very. Because he's like not that mean. He kind of seems like sedate.
Yeah.
And like Walter Koenig's like an old guy. He was born in 1936.
When he's not being fully evil, he's like precious. He's adorable. I mean, he's a nice looking man.
Is he still alive? He is. He's 82 right now. So good for Walter Koenig. It kind of, I don't want to be unfair because I think he does bring like a sort of quiet menace. Like that's the intent of the character, is that like I don't have to be yelly and Jakar like to be scary. I can just be like pleasant and be like, yep, I am reading your brain right now. You are thinking about killing me and I'm not going to let you do it, is his kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think some of that also just comes from age and like, we brought him on because like of the Star Trek pull and like that's awesome. But like the character and the idea of Bester is cool, but the performance is like it's honestly kind of 50-50 for me.
We keep seeing Bester, dude. I just looked on the wiki. He's
gonna keep coming back.
Oh yeah, he keeps showing up more.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I'm into seeing him more. Maybe that gives him more opportunities to do different things.
Right. It's sort of like you either have to see him almost never, or you have to see him more. Right.
Because and they make a big point out of this. Once Bester's on Babylon 5, everything has to stop. Because he's of the level, he's a P12, I think they say. Yeah. So he's like of the level of telepath where they can't like just have secret plots going on. And that's their whole thing, is like we have so many secrets between the Army of Light and knowing about the conspiracies and causing a lot of these problems, that having a telepath who can't turn off their brain, who works for the government and Psi Corps around us is a horrible idea. Impossible.
Right.
And they spend the beginning of the episode thinking about killing him.
Yeah, Ivanova has this really chilling moment where she makes peace with the fact that she's going to murder him and like shoot him out of the sky. Yeah.
She's like, this will probably end my job and end my career, but it's worth it. Someone has to do it. No one else is going to do it. I'm ready to open the defense grid on him.
Moment where she's like, I've been saying for weeks that the defense grid has been messed up.
Yeah, like she's like writing the excuse in her head or saying it. You're
that
like,
was scary.
And Sheridan comes in and says, halt that order, and like they don't do it, but it's like, yeah, she was ready. She committed. She hit the button and did it. It gives you this
window into like, I mean, Ivanova you think of as completely collected and calm, but there's, when it comes to the Psi Corps, there's this rage inside of her that runs so deep that it can't be stopped or reasoned with.
Right. You're not going to get to a point where you can like learn to like the Psi Corps. That's not going to happen. And especially with all she's learned about them too.
Right.
Not just what she, like the biases she brought onto the show, but now everything she's learned since. So everybody makes, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. So then Bester is coming on board and everybody is scared. So they have a whole room of Minbari telepaths. Like, hey, bro.
That was so weird.
Super weird. And his response is, you guys are being so paranoid. I'm not here for you. And
I'm here for drugs.
And I thought that was going to result in him saying to the Psi Corps, like, hey, they're definitely hiding something here. Like, that was their grand plan, is they were going to make it so obvious that they were hiding something.
Well, I think he's already known. He came onto the ship knowing they were probably hiding something. Even though he came onto the ship to find the dust people.
Yeah, but he doesn't necessarily know that they're hiding anything.
No, well, because isn't there a throwaway line at the end where he's telling another telepath, like, oh, we put the dust on the ship. We mostly came here to look into what's going on with them.
No, I think his throwaway line was, the implication was that, like, the Psy-Corps invented dust. Because they wanted to, like,
create a better telepaths
right? Within people who didn't have, like, as strong of ability. And then maybe somebody stole the dust from them, or it became a thing that they're trying to contain. And he's like, what a dumb, cheesy ending, by the way, where he's talking to the Psy-Corps person. He's like, by the way, we shouldn't have done this evil thing. What an evil thing we did. Anyway.
Yeah, that's not a good way to do a reveal either.
Yeah, like as they're walking down the hall away from the camera.
Damn, weird how we instrumented this whole plot with these drugs and like created addicts and just so that we could build our fucking telepath army. Weird, right? Yeah, that is weird that we did that thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Not how people talk.
But he comes on Babylon 5 with no suspicion that they're hiding anything. Because the last time that he was there, remember, Talia and the other Underground Railroad people like planted the false image in his brain that she had like helped to kill all of them.
Right, so his last image is not even...
His last image of Babylon 5 is like, the situation's under control.
Right. So now he's like, yeah, it's a little bit ridiculous. I guess the other thing is like, we'd rather he think there's something up and then know exactly what's up. Because he can't. He's never. We're not going to let him get the answer. It just seems
like a weird move. Like that's Sheridan and Delen's genius play. Is that they're gonna flex, like weird flex, but okay, you know.
Either take sleepers to suppress your powers with drugs for a couple hours, or we keep Minbari telepaths around you all day long and you can't do anything with your powers. And he agrees to take the drugs, and then they're like, it's going to take a couple hours, so you can't talk to anyone. Mm-hmm. Which, again, we just talked about this with Stefan last week. Babylon 5 likes to have its cake and eat it, too. On one hand, he can't talk to anyone. Telepaths are bad. The ability to look into people's minds is bad. Dust is bad. But if it means it's going to help us find out who the dust dealer is, we're going to be okay with Bester looking at people and scanning their mind a little bit when we're interrogating them. We're going to be fine with that.
But he doesn't.
Because remember, he sits on
But he's not scanning the guy's mind.
But he's like, I'm not doing it on purpose, but I'm just here. I just happen to be sitting next to you, and I'm going to read thoughts because you're crazy.
No, but he then says to Garibaldi at the end of that scene that he was lying.
Right. Oh, you're right. You're totally right. Because then he says, like, the drugs are working. I just know when somebody's lying because I'm smart.
Or he was just like, liars are always lying about something.
Yeah.
And like, they want to confess, so I just gave him a path to confess. That was my favorite part of the Bester stuff. Him and Garibaldi being buddy cops, and Garibaldi trying to have this moral superiority of like, you know, fuck you. But then Bester's kind of like, we're both awful cops.
Awful.
Dude. We both commit acts of police brutality. Like
every day.
Look in the mirror, Garibaldi, because you're not that different from like what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
That I thought was cool.
I wonder if the show is ever going to have the Garibaldi reckon with that. Like can't.
It sounds like at least the show's recognizing it in a way that I didn't expect it to, because Bester's like, you said that my badge and my uniform have power, like so do yours.
Right. It's not even, it's different energy, but same crime.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I also mean, like, I just hope that Garibaldi himself is like, oh, I'm my worst enemy right now. I've become the thing that I'm trying to like take down by being a part of the Army of Light. I'm also like still a cop. And I'm like ultimate cop. We learn about what dust is, and I have like questions. So the way that Besser describes it is, and this is his words, not mine. It's a drug that allows telepaths to commit a telepathic rape. Basically being able to, thinking emoji is right, Magellan. You can climb into the thoughts of somebody against their will and feel and see every sensation, thought, and idea that they've ever had at once. And like any other drug, once you do it once, it gets weaker and weaker, and you have to take more of it to do it. Then they're like, it's great business, which is fucking lazy drug writing. And we learn after a little while that the person buying dust on the ship, not even a little while later, like literally next shot is like, somebody's buying dust on the ship. Cut to Jakar being like, I'd like to buy some dust. And it's like, oh, there's no mystery on this episode.
Yeah. It's like it goes from Garibaldi being like, somebody who would want to have an invisible weapon. And in my brain, I'm like, it's probably oh, yep.
Oh, they're just going to say it?
There he is.
There he is. Hey, what's up? He says he wishes to become the first Narn telepath in years. Like they got rid of them, and then the dealer's like, hey,
them and their families.
The dealer's like, give me the full lore dump, Mr. Jakar. I care about your Narn plot. And he's like, yeah, we had them and then we exterminated all of them.
Yeah, it was sort of, the dialogue was paced in such a way that the guy was like, yeah, I've never done it to a Narn before. Like, I don't even think there are Narn telepaths. And then
well,
Jakar
I'm glad
was
you
like,
asked.
oh, well, there were. And then the guy was like, anyway, being a Narn, it might have like he kind of repeated the same prompt.
Right.
For Jakar to continue to lore dump. Okay, so here's a question for you.
Yay, I like questions.
And we'll get to Jakar. So Jakar wants it because he wants to go into Londo's mind, because he's obsessed with Londo, and in a sort of like rage-filled but also like erotic way.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And we will dive deep into that in a moment. But while that's happening, Jakar has a moment where he like is in this mental hellscape with his dad and presumably his grandfather, maybe, or some older dude. Maybe that was Jaquan.
Yeah, you talking about Jakar in his own head or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes on a mind quest. There's a couple of things happening here. A lot of it is like in visions. The stuff in his own head is definitely his dad, who's the one that's like strung up from a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Or like that's his dad saying the line that I think I quoted at the beginning of the episode where he's like, don't be shitty. We're all going to be shitty. So, like, we are fighting to save one another. Some of us must be sacrificed. I quoted that to you before we started podcasting. Yeah. Some of us must be sacrificed if all are to be saved. Like, you can't keep the war going. You can't keep fighting. One of you has to give up at some point. You should not like give up, but like stop attacking. Stop being the striker. Which is like good for Jakar to absorb that information, especially considering what happens to him at the end of the episode. And then, yes, there's another figure, and he says, oh, I recognize you. And then we see the shot from the end of season 2 where, what's his name? What's funny toilet boy's name? Kosh projects an image of the best person from each culture, and he sees like the Narn that he saw in that moment, which is, I think presumably Jaquan.
Yeah. Anyway, my question is, it feels...
Sorry, you had the question and then I like completely...
No, it's okay.
Lapped it.
That was important. It feels like, maybe I'm off base, but it feels like part of the reason that Jakar is so obsessed with telepaths, and like in season 1, remember he like wanted to...
He wanted to like breed with somebody, right?
Yeah. Was it Lita that he wanted to...
I think that was in The Gathering.
Yeah,
I think that might have been...
pay Lita to come move to Narn or something?
Yes. Yeah. This was when I watched a little bit of The Gathering. I watched this scene again where he's like, they haven't really seen what happens with human and with Narn and telepaths together. Like, let's figure that out.
I feel
like,
what
disgusting.
I'm getting from that in this episode is that I think Jakar is like descended from Narn telepaths.
Oh, probably, right?
I think so. And that's why he's so obsessed with restoring that to the Narn.
Huh.
And like maybe his dad was one, but I don't know how far back the extermination of them was, so maybe that doesn't work out.
Right. We don't learn a lot about the Narn telepaths in this episode, but we know that they exist now, and so maybe his, like you said, obsession with them and like choice to use dust as a military, like as basically psychological warfare is based on like his past.
Yeah.
With it.
Right.
And so yeah, he does the unthinkable. He takes dust. He gets really fucked up. He goes in. This is important to remember also that at the beginning of the episode, Veer is back.
Right.
From his time on Minbar.
Awesome.
Thank God.
Yeah, I know. He was gone for an episode. And I was like...
And I missed him immediately.
Veer.
And then, when you comes back, Londo's like, Veer! And you're like, oh, yes. Veer spends a lot of time telling Londo, like, hey, the Minbari really have their shit together. Londo's like, they seem backwards and uppity, and they want to force their views on everyone. And he's like, Londo, that's really conservative and shitty of you. You don't even know them that well. I met them. They're cool. And then Londo's like, yeah. What did they say about me, though?
Right.
He's like,
I like Londo's
nice
line, or Veer's like, they have buildings that are hundreds of years old. And Londo's like, oh, yeah, there's a lack of new construction.
Yeah. They don't make things anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, Londo is Will McAvoy. We used to build things. You're a great big man, Veer. A great big man.
Oh my God, no! Don't take us back to that place.
Not the dark place, not the scary place, please.
No.
Newsroom season whatever, fucking coming never, hopefully.
Yeah.
So they're talking, and then in one of these nice conversations about Minbar, Jakar just like kicks down the door. Londo's like, Veer, where are you? And then he turns, and Jakar is choking Veer out. He's like strangling him. And I thought this was fake.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, oh, it's a vision. He's like having a vision. This is not fake.
No,
he is totally going into their room. Veer. He's assaulting another ambassador and assaulting Veer, and he like beats the crap out of Londo, which we don't see. But what we do see is that he performs the dust invasion, I'm going to call it, on Londo. Climbs inside Londo's head and sees all these different moments from his life, like the day he was assigned to be the ambassador on Babylon 5, where he learns that Londo was assigned because nobody else could wanted the job, and proceeds to ridicule Londo for that. Goes to like his childhood, goes to all of the moments in his life, and he learns about he confirms the Morden stuff. He's like, yep, you did it.
It was you.
Spoke to Morden. So scary.
Were at the center of it all.
That was really good.
Thanks.
It's weird realizing that we've known about Londo and Morden for so long, and then like, oh shit, some people don't know that.
Yeah, like actually nobody knows that.
Yeah, that's a huge deal that somebody knows that now. And now, even worse, that guy's in jail. So who's he gonna tell?
Mm-hmm. Dude, this was so scary.
It's really. I really was like,
Jakar
the whole time,
totally unhinged and like maniacally laughing about learning that like the Centauri put Londo on Babylon 5 because they wanted to get rid of him, and it was like a joke assignment.
And his like instant willingness to just like attack Veer and Londo,
right? And cutting back to like we cut away and we cut back, and Londo he's bloodied and torn up, and he's like, Jakar, please. Ugh.
All I could think of was like, wow, weird nightmare that Londo's having. And I kept thinking they're gonna cut back and be like, anyways, that didn't happen. And it's like, no, that happened, dude. I keep coming back to that, but that was like my recurring thought, because I'm like, no, this is honestly on another level of violence that the show hasn't done yet.
Yeah.
And even just the act of what he does to Londo, like he climbs inside and like physically steps into all of his life moments. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that was stupid. That's embarrassing, dude. You fucking suck, my future boyfriend. Like, why are you the worst?
Yeah.
And this is like interspersed with him having like the conversation with his dad, being like, stop, please chill. One of you needs to stop. Please stop fucking fighting each other. And then we pull back to the just harsh coldness of reality. Jakar goes to a trial. Sheridan attempts to defend him, and he pleads guilty and agrees to a prison sentence of 60 days.
Weird.
Where he will presumably enjoy meditating with his dad and Jaquan.
Yeah, he'll be in the cell next to Paul Manafort. Topical.
Garibaldi's like, do you want to take the book so you can read a book
for Sheridan to be like,
defending him?
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, like, because he knows they have footage of everything. It's not like anything is hidden. So his defense is more just like, let's not put him in jail forever.
Yeah.
But I honestly think Jakar maybe should have gotten a stricter punishment. I think 60 days is a little weak for like attempted murder. Like they say like it's premeditated. Because Sheridan's argument is like he was on drugs. You can't blame a man who's on drugs. And they're like, no, he wouldn't have gone to Londo's room if he was just like randomly assaulting people and like choked out Veer and then gone to kill Londo. That was a choice.
Yeah.
So 60 days in prison. But it's like it's in solitary confinement. It's not even just like the brig or whatever.
Yeah, it does. It feels lenient.
But Jakar still has to be on the show. 60 days basically seems to me like the length of the rest of the season. Or no,
it depends on
not
how
even.
much time is jumped in each episode, I guess.
That's true. Sometimes they'll do like a couple weeks between episodes, so hopefully it isn't too long because I want to see Jakar like tell people what's going on.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Shoot. Never mind.
Jakar stuff.
Yeah, I can't remember.
He tells Garibaldi to keep the Book of Jaquan because he's like, I'll be busy talking to my dad.
And then Londo and Veer have a nice moment at the end where Londo says, "Hey, don't let people make fun of your job.
Right,
because you're a cool guy.
You're cool, I swear. I like you." Jakar's got a lot of thinking to do in prison, man. He's got a lot of meditating to do before understanding that maybe he is the new villain of the show. Maybe he's the new heel, and I'm okay with that.
Me too.
Yeah. So let's do ourselves some meditating and come back next week to discuss more Babylon 5. What are we watching next week, Magellan?
Next week, we're watching the next 2 episodes of Babylon 5, of course. Didn't you know that, you silly goose?
Oh, shit. I always forget.
It's okay, my friend.
Oh.
I still love you.
Oh, I still love you. Oh, hell yeah. We got some good ones coming up, bro.
Yeah, you better believe it, bro. We are watching Season 3, Episode 7, Exogenesis. Marcus and Franklin investigate a series of deaths caused by a mysterious parasite. It's the team-up you've been waiting for. That sounds like a total throwaway, I gotta be honest.
Franklin and Marcus. The wiki, I love comparing the wiki to the Amazon summary. The only thing the wiki adds is Ivanova is tasked with determining whether Lieutenant Corwin is suitable for the conspiracy of light.
Oh my god. I already can tell I'm not gonna be crazy.
We're gonna get a David Corwin episode. Exogenesis, by the way, isn't that like the belief that life originated somewhere else in the universe and then came to Earth?
Yeah.
So that's cool. But yeah, that's probably gonna be a silly episode.
Then we're watching Season 3, Episode 8, Messages from Earth. Sheridan discovers a terrifying new alliance between the Shadows and another race. Is that other race the humans?
Oh my god.
That's my guess.
Like, if it's the Centauri, then it's like, yeah, we know that. If it's the humans, then we're like, yeah, we suspected that. None of these are not surprising answers.
That would be pretty nuts if the Earth was like, hey, the Shadows are our friends.
Oh god. Apparently this is a big one.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So we get a dumb one and a big one. My favorite combo. That brings us... Thank you, Magellan. Thank you for the summaries. I love it when you read me summaries. I want to bring us to the plug zone now. Let's tell people that they can email us at chatspod@gmail.com if they have questions or comments or feedback and want them read on the show. If you want to tweet at us, you can do so at chatspod, CHATZPOD. We love your retweets and comments there. Please consider rating us on iTunes as well. And consider backing us on Patreon at patreon.com/chatspod. Every other week we put out Chats Nights where Magellan and I hang out. And we just had a really good episode recently where we're just friends and talked about our dreams.
Yeah.
And every month we watch a movie, and you can listen to us watch a movie with you. We're going to be watching Kung Pao Legend of the Fist. I always want to call it Kung Fu Hustle.
Enter the Fist.
Yes, Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Thank you. that'll be the March film. Magellan, what is your chatsum for this week? What's your little snackum for the kids to enjoy?
My chatsum is a book of poetry that came out recently, and by recently I mean it came out on March 5th, 2019.
Oh.
It is by Ilya Kaminsky, and it's called Deaf Republic. And basically it is a series of poems that tell a single narrative about a small town that is in a country that is occupied by a foreign military, and there's like political unrest. Mm-hmm. And the inciting incident of the story is that there's a protest going on, and these soldiers kill a deaf boy. And the moment that happens, everybody else goes deaf.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so then the story is about the people who like live in this town. And it's also about how they start inventing sign language to like resist the soldiers.
Whoa.
And so on some of the pages are pictures of like the sign language that they use.
It's one of those things where like the medium really matters to how interesting it sounds, because like that as a novel, I'm like, damn, sounds corny.
Yeah.
But when you tell me that that's poems, I'm like, oh, actually,
it's pretty cool. I've just started reading. I haven't read the whole thing, but I really like it so far.
That sounds really interesting. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Deaf Republic by Ilya Kaminsky.
Yep.
Awesome.
What about you?
My chatsum for this week is a podcast, a now defunct podcast. Actually, they ended, I think, last year. Defunky podcast called The Living Room. It's a podcast hosted by a single person who interviews bands from the LA area, like local indie bands. Mm-hmm. And specifically their episode with the band Minimal, Minimall, like Small Mall, is really fun. I got into Minimal a couple years ago. They only have like an EP, but I just re-listened to the EP and I was like, man, this is amazing. What are these like people up to? And they're all like Magellan and I's age, mm-hmm. and they're like cool kids just performing music as friends. They're all a bunch of fucking nerds. There's a lot of like being like, oh, I was into that in college. Like they like quote Vines a lot and comedians that they like, and it's like, oh, that's so charming. And I love interview podcasts. It's like my seat. Some people have like true crime or like history podcasts, and I'm just like, yeah, give me a person being asked questions about their life and their art. It's so good for me. It's called The Living Room. You can find it. It's still up like on iTunes and stuff, so you can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. That, dear listener, is going to do it for this episode of Chatzylon 5. Peace.